Okay. He's here, so I've got. Oh, Mr. Miller, how do you do? Very well. Nice to meet you. Oh, yeah. So we are. Hi, how do you do? I'm Justin very well. Just us. Lovely. So, Mr. Miller, it's nice to meet you. As I said, now, you've got a gentleman here. Is he a support person?
Yep.
Oh, lovely. Okay. And you've got a phone with you. Are you recording the interview?
No.
Okay. What do you know about why I'm seeing you?
I wouldn't have a clue. I mean, other than I can say this, that if you've been doing your job, you'd know that I'm not a threat.
Right, okay.
You know, and if you guys in the National Threat Assessment Unit had been monitoring my connection, you'd know that there is something going on. It's not a delusion or a manifestation. And therefore I'd say, well, why isn't something being done about it?
Well,
because I just take it as it being anti-me, you know, the government ill-treating me, the drugging recently of me to serve no benefit or interest to anything other than to make me probably a little bit more susceptible to migraines than what I normally are, uptight, feel like I'm the victim, and that's very negative, you know, that installs a very bad image of the government with me.
can I clarify a couple of things, Mr. Miller? I've read a lot of your emails and I've seen your recent YouTube posts. So, as I understand it, what you're saying is that you're being targeted through your computer primarily, is that right?
No, that somebody has targeted my connection, and what they're doing is interfering with my mouse and desktop and closing pages, and that since last year in I think May, late June it started after I'd made contact with my daughter, my Down syndrome daughter who's handicapped.
You say it started last year, but you'd been emailing about similar concerns well before last year.
Yeah, but I didn't have contact with my daughter.
Right. So what do you think's happened with contact to your daughter?
I don't know, but there's somehow a link between that, you guys, the National Threat Assessment Unit, Explorer, or Edge, Microsoft Edge, and my system, because I don't use Microsoft Edge for anything other than to open up PDFs, and I don't use Office at all. And Microsoft went into an agreement with the police in 2015 when I got trespassed for hassling Microsoft about it, that they wouldn't touch my machine.
So,
and they are. And I thought that maybe if it was you guys, or maybe it's a conflict with your software or something that the National Threat Assessment Unit are using with my device, because something is interfering with my service of my mouse. And I don't have to rely on that and say it's a delusion or listen to it, because Alex has seen it happen. Other people have seen it happen at my place. and it is a controlled act, you know.
So your YouTube clips suggest that you feel that you're being gaslighted or controlled in some way and driven to
No,
kill the Prime Minister.
I feel this, that I vented a concern last year in June that I think that because of John Keys and David Shearer and Phil Goff and the history of the dynamics involved in that somebody in the SIS or your unit or whatever might have it out for me, and that's probably and could be behind what's going on, because I don't have the powers to do that sort of a thing. The only people I know who've probably got the powers to do it is Microsoft or the government with that sort of level of access, and it is going on. So I mean.
So in one of your posts recently, Dean, you said that you believed that this was to drive you to assassinate the Prime Minister. Is that right?
Not to assassinate him, to kill the Prime Minister. Yeah. And
That's not assassination.
No. And I've got no wish or desire or anything to do that to her, but I feel that the harassment, because of the stepping up of it in the last 8 weeks, and particularly last year until September this went on, that the people who've done that know that I said to the SIS last year in June that I think that these people, because of my history with John Keys and things like that, are trying to engineer me to take out Arden as the head of the SIS, involved with the unit which he worked for, which was part of the Prime Minister's office, and that seems to be what they're trying to do. But I also said that I'm not willing to do that, nor would I ever do that, and that's not within me to do, but I could see how that is how I form that belief.
But you get very angry in those YouTube videos, don't you? You're obviously watching this happen and it's getting you very upset.
Yep.
Am I right about that?
Yeah.
But in one of those, you called the Prime Minister all sorts of names as well. So you sounded pretty angry at her sometimes.
Well, I am angry at her from the perspective of that she's the head of the intelligence service in your guys' unit and everything else.
Yes.
And you guys are letting this go on. You're not doing anything about it. And it's gone on for so long that it's been quite destructive and destroying my life.
Yes.
And all I want to do is watch YouTube. And what I do and watch on YouTube is my business. If it was wrong content, I'm not watching Al Qaeda videos or ISIS or anything like that.
No.
And some of the contacts and links which I can use, and I do, to show that I've got a bit of push too. I shouldn't have to. I just want to do my own thing on YouTube.
What are the contacts that you have a bit of push with, Dean?
Well, I pretty easily get hold of. I've got posted the SIS's requests, which are online and database of all the government files relating to current business which is going on, which MPs seek.
Right.
I posted that online. It's got all the SIS and your guys' office files.
You've got our office files?
Yeah.
You've got access to them online?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I haven't got access to your office files, but there is a link online that you can go to get those files. And I read them, and they're actually generated through someone in TVNZ or the media.
Right, okay. And so this got a whole lot worse, this activity got a whole lot worse from September of last year.
No, up from June last year when I had contact with my daughter.
Right, and what's the reason for that?
What?
Why did why did they get more active in June last year?
I don't know.
Okay, but it's been going on before.
All I can look at and go, what changed in the whole dynamics of my life at that time that made me conclude that. And the only thing is that I had Jacene come into my life and I had contact with her on
I see.
Facebook.
You just think that it's not a coincidence that happened.
What do you mean a coincidence?
So,
Well, I hadn't had any contact with Jacene because of John Keys.
John Key,
Yeah.
what did he do?
Well, it wasn't what he did, it's what the police did and what you guys did.
Right.
Okay? I got arrested for threatening to kill the Prime Minister by the police.
Yep.
I didn't threaten to kill the Prime Minister. I said to somebody in a third party sense, oh, fucking John Keys needs a bullet in the head.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, your
okay.
problem is that is a threat.
Yeah. Okay, now you listen to this. When it got to court, that wasn't a threat. It was threatening behaviour, but it wasn't threatening to kill. But it got published in the New Zealand Herald that I went to his place with a gun and threatened to kill him.
Did it?
And I never did. That never took place. And it also got on TVNZ, it says that I went to Wellington and threatened to kill him with a gun. And that never took place.
Yeah.
There was no gun involved.
No, it was a post online, is what you said. So,
No, it wasn't a post online, what I said. It was a comment that I said to a UN staff member.
Sorry, you said it to a UN staff member?
Yeah, of the Human Rights Commission in Auckland.
Right, and was that face to face you said that?
No, over the phone.
Over the phone, so it was something you said over the phone, yeah.
And Adam Couchman, who I spoke to at the time, who does the Crown Law prosecutions and defence, said to me, well, it's a third party comment, it doesn't count, it's irrelevant.
Right.
I didn't threaten John Keys personally.
So you also got convicted around 2014 in relation to Phil Goff and David Shearer, is that right?
Threatening behaviour.
Yeah, what happened there?
I was incredibly sick. I was on a really high dose of morphine. And I was extremely agitated because I couldn't get any help from work and income. I felt like they were fucking trying to do me in and kill me. I was entitled to a disability allowance. I couldn't get anywhere with it. I even got justices of the peace to send the disability allowance through. And I couldn't afford laxatives, and I was so bound up. When I got arrested with Phil Goff and David Shearer for bullshit threats, which didn't actually take place, I ended up in hospital, I think, for 3 weeks. Yeah.
So how long have you had contact with the Mental Health Service for team?
Only 4 years.
Just the last 4 years?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Not before that at all?
No. And I've had contact with forensic mental health.
When was that?
And while I was in prison.
Okay.
And
when were you in prison?
they found I've got no mental illness.
When were you in prison?
For, I don't know, 2012 and 2004, 5.
Right. You've been in prison twice.
Yeah.
Okay. And contact with forensic mental health both times?
Yep.
So how long have you been coming to this place for?
Only for 18 months here.
Okay. And from what you've said, it sounds like you don't feel like you need to be seen here.
No, and what was happening when I left Monarchy House to come here, there's nothing has changed in all those years. They were going to discharge me from the Act, and I got transferred here, and I said, look, I don't feel comfortable going to a new psychiatrist when you say you're going to discharge me. And when I got here, the exact thing what I feared happened. I mentioned that to the psychiatrist. She said she knew nothing about it, and they started upping my dose, saying I was delusional. Well, that's not the case.
Well, I can see why they think that, Mr. Miller. Why would the SIS target you?
I don't know. Well, I look at it like this. If I've complained to them about this going on and pointed it out, why haven't they investigated it to find out what's going on? Because there is something going on online, and that would solve the whole problem for everybody. Everything else would go away.
You've had your computer inspected, I believe. Yeah.
For malware.
Yeah.
For malware. They did a malware scan. That isn't inspected. that wasn't looking at the files which I handed over, which had video on them of what was going on, and had the files which I copied out of the system, which showed the entries, which proved who was doing what.
Because I was looking at your YouTube posts, and you're going through the registry.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking, well, so what? No, that's not evidence that your computer's been tampered or interfered.
Okay, Alex, have you seen my pages being interfered with when I'm trying to open things up with my mouse?
Yes.
Yeah.
According to what you've been pointing out, I'm not a professional.
Yeah, I mean, I just wonder what the real evidence is.
The video of the registry is probably not relevant, but there are other videos, and it's not the registry which I'm showing. It's mass files which Microsoft are opening through Office that have gone through and embedded the photos that I've got of my kids. Okay, so whenever you open up one of those photos, it automatically opens up that IP that's linked in with Office and sends the image.
So where do you think that image goes?
I don't know, to that IP, I suppose.
To that IP.
Yeah.
And again, what's the reason all this is happening, Dean?
I don't know.
So,
I mean, I don't know what I've done to fuck anybody off to do that, but it is happening. And, you know, like I just said to you, if Alex and them have seen my desktop being fucked around while I'm trying to use my mouse and things like that, and that's happening, then it is happening. It's not a delusion.
no.
And I can only...
What it sounds like is happening is that you've got a problem with your mouse and your computer. I don't know
Oh,
why
look, mate, I've been through changing batteries, replaced the mouse, nothing made any difference.
Yeah. I still don't see why that's the SIS are doing that.
Well, I can't fail to see the reason other than that whoever's doing it knows that that agitates me, because the same person steals my text document off my desktop, so they know exactly how I'm feeling.
They're stealing your text documents as well.
Yeah, every time I write up or put anything in my text document, it goes to auto save and then it goes to auto send.
And where do you think that's going?
I don't know, other than I can't trace it past Microsoft.
Okay.
And there's things like, I don't see anybody else's computer coming up with Array 511 prod do dsp mp microsoft.com in their Windows system management. You know, I know that for a fact.
So you've been troubled by this for some time, and I know this because...
Well, I think it's this, that it's a hacker, that it's been present since last June, even though it was going on years before.
Well, I mean,
it all settled down and it pretty much stopped. Then for some reason, it started again last June. Okay? And whoever's doing it knows that they can get away with it because you guys aren't even looking into it.
And what happened to your treatment last June?
You guys just dragged me heavily.
Wow.
And it did nothing. Absolutely nothing. And then we worked back to decreasing it back to 25 megs. Yeah. And Alex will tell you, I mean, I actually started to feel human again. And I felt like I could think properly. The medication you guys got me on, I can't even function properly. I get all uptight because I can't get the words out that I want to express myself.
Yeah, I mean, just explain. I'll just explain what my service is. It's not the National Threat Centre or anything like that. We're called Fixated Threat Assessment Centre, and we're health. We work with police, and what we deal with is just people that communicate concerning waste to Parliament, right? And because you so frequently email Parliament, and I'm going to say those emails are often pretty disturbing when I see them. Full of anger and
well, I can't believe it's being ignored.
Hostility. Well, it's not being ignored, but we don't think that anyone's hacking your computer, Mr. Miller. And frankly, from what I've seen, I understand why people think that you're mentally ill and need treatment.
Well, I look at it like this. I know somebody is because of the IPs that are opening up on my computer, and I don't have any association, link, or have nothing to do with them. And I can only assume that those IPs are responsible for the trouble which is going on my computer. And it's on video and they're online, and I've edited and deleted out most of the videos which would be of concern to you guys, because I'm sick of the bullshit. And I just want it sorted out. And I haven't got a mental illness, and I'm not delusional, and my behaviour in the community is actually quite good and probably far better than most people. I'm a very caring person. I don't get into violence of any way, shape or form with anyone. But when something's happening in my home, I feel violated.
So
You know?
when you post those YouTube clips, just talk us through what's going on there. So firstly, whereabouts do you live?
Sandringham,
So how far from here is that? About
4Ks.
about 4 k's from here, over in Sandringham. Okay. And are you living in a place on your own there?
Yep.
Okay. And you've been there for a while?
Yep.
Okay. And what's your usual day look like?
Get up, go on the internet for a few hours, bugger off, do something during the day. But since I've been back on the 75 megs, I've done nothing and just lied on the couch and being able to do nothing.
So you spend a few hours on the internet a day, so quite a long time on the internet.
Yeah.
What are you doing there in particular?
Just watching videos.
Yeah, that's what you like to do, watch YouTube videos, yeah? Okay, anything in particular you like to look at there?
Anything.
All right.
Oh, probably news, current affairs, and follow a little bit of, I don't know, spiritual stuff.
Okay. And you look like you've got quite a big screen there too, based on YouTube clips.
Yep.
So when you make those YouTube clips, what's happened? That something's happened to make you very angry? Is that basically it?
Yeah, like I'll have a page open, or some pages open, and some stuff queued up, and the pages will just start closing off.
Right.
You know, and I'm spewing, and I'll get my mouse and click on something, and it's unresponsive at all.
Yeah.
And I go into the task manager, have a look in the network resources, and try and identify what program could be doing that. And it sort of narrowed it down, but I don't know, I'm not that far into it to be able to prove that. It's Microsoft that are predominantly doing something in Microsoft's system that's doing that. And last year they disabled my system, which was a licensed system, and deactivated the code and had control of my desktop and everything.
So when
They haven't got that this time.
So when you make those clips, these things happen that made you very angry.
Yeah.
And in those clips, I mean, you certainly said some very angry things about the Prime Minister, and I think about Rebecca Kitteridge as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. You blame her for this as well.
Well, she's the head of the SIS.
Yeah, sure. Problem being that I don't see any evidence the SIS are involved in this at all.
Well, they are from the perspective of if that is going on, then they should be aware of it. It's their job and their role, and they should have addressed it. Because I can prove, you know, and if you go back and have a look at I don't know when was the last time you looked at any videos on YouTube, but so when was the last time you
a day or two ago, I imagine.
a day or two ago? Yeah. How many days ago?
Well, I can tell you, Mr. Miller, but I look at YouTube pretty regularly. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I've removed a lot of content yesterday and today.
Sorry, is this from your channel?
Yeah.
No, I haven't looked at your channel.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
My channel. And the content which you're concerned about, I've deleted.
Yeah.
So it's not even private. You know, it's gone.
Yes.
And to me, like I can't see myself getting anywhere with you guys with my complaint or my concern.
No, well, we
Because
don't have any power.
your mental health.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I don't have the power to investigate it anyway. That's not what our service is about.
Yeah.
No.
but I think the SIS do have the powers to investigate it, and they should.
And if they don't, what happens?
Well, what can I do about it? You just fucked over my life.
Yeah. Well, I just wonder where that ends up for you. I mean, that would make me pretty angry to feel that my life's been fucked over.
It does, but I mean, fucking, same time, I'm sick, I can't fucking do anything about it. I mean, the likelihood is, for me, is that probably, I don't know, maybe if I'm lucky, 18 months, I'll probably won't be well enough to look after myself.
Where else have you been with your complaint? I mean, I know about some of the emails that you've written to the Prime Minister.
Police Complaints Authority,
Yeah.
Police, Ombudsman, SIS.
To your local electorate offices as well?
No.
Which electorate are you in, do you know?
Mount Roskill.
Oh, okay.
Said we're in Jacinda Ardern's electorate.
Right. Okay. You emailed her, you haven't thought of going to see her at all?
Well, I got told not to go to the Labour Party's office by the police.
You did?
Yeah.
Yes, I think that's good advice. I don't think you should do that. No, I'm not
Yeah,
suggesting
and I don't want to get into any conflict. So that's probably why I haven't done that.
Yeah.
Because I see that it's quite, I don't know, just not appropriate.
Yeah.
And on this objection, I find it quite hard to express myself properly and fully like I used to be able to a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. So you got a mental health review tribunal on Monday, are you?
I don't know, I haven't been told.
Yeah?
We just found out today, so we was going to share with him anyway.
Oh, okay. My apologies.
No, that's all right.
So do you know what that is? You've been before those before?
No.
You don't. You must know a little bit about the process. No. You got a lawyer for that? You must have.
Yeah. So all the information is you just come in.
Okay.
So we
all right. Well, you'll take it.
You usually get seen the lawyer the day that you get seen, and you
get. This one's been allocated earlier, so I'll give you the information.
Today. Yeah. Okay. Does ever get? This must get on top of you sometimes, right? I mean, do you get to the point where you just wonder whether there's really any point going on?
Yeah.
How often?
Well, with pain and that, I very much do, because to live in pain is very unpleasant.
Yes.
You know, and to be harassed online, and have someone do that to you, it just doubles. It makes, creates stress.
Yes, and I understand that. Has it ever got to the point where you've thought that maybe you should end your own life?
No, but I'm looking into euthanasia.
Right. You're considering euthanasia?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You mean the end of life bill stuff? Yeah. What would be the reason for that?
Pain.
This is physical pain?
Yeah.
What's the physical pain from?
Crohn's and migraines.
Right. Okay. And when you add to that the stress from all of this, it must seem that's like sometimes life's not worth living.
Well, when you're in that sort of pain, you just wish that you were dead sometimes.
Okay. So it's the physical pain, but it's also the.
But I can't kill myself because it goes against my beliefs.
Oh, okay. Now, tell us about your daughter. You mentioned that you had contact with her again.
Mm-hmm.
Her name's Jacine, is it?
Yep.
Okay. How old is she now?
21. 22 actually.
22. Right. Okay. Where does she live, Dean?
Papamoa.
Okay, over by the mount.
Yep.
And how often do you see her?
I haven't seen her since John Keys. Because the John Keys affidavit was filed in the family court, said that I went to John Keys' place with a gun and threatened to kill him.
Right.
And that stopped access with my daughter, and no one would believe me until the court hearing took 18 months to take place, which said that I only used threatening behaviour. I never threatened to kill him. I never had a gun and went to his place.
So, whose affidavit was that? Was that John Key did that affidavit?
No, my ex-wife did.
The ex-wife said that.
Yeah, copied the newspaper clipping and filed it as an affidavit to the family court and said that I was unstable and a risk because I was a gunman.
Right.
And that stopped access, which I was having
And
supervised
you'd been
access
angry at John Key because
of that.
of that.
Yeah.
What's he got to do with that?
Well, I mean, he got, somehow or another, the diplomatic protection squad turned up in my second court appearance and said to the registrar that I never threatened to kill John Keys and that the Prime Minister had just become aware, and they bailed me on my own reconnaissance.
Right.
And so no bail conditions or nothing.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, they wouldn't have done that unless that had happened. You know? And I sort of think, well, how can that happen when everyone knows that it was a lie?
But why do you blame John Key for that? I don't understand that.
Well, I mean, it's his name that's being used.
Right. But by your wife, by the sounds of it.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, she can only believe what she reads in the paper. And that comes back to what's the police's statement that they gave TVNZ and the New Zealand Herald. They gave two different press releases to them.
Have you got these clippings yourself?
No, yeah, if you Google Dean Miller.
I'll just do it now, eh?
Yeah.
This was in 2014, was it?
Yeah.
Okay. Look. Dean Miller.
TVNZ or Dean Miller, New Zealand Herald.
Giving nothing related to you. So I'll look. New Zealand Herald. I think we've found it. I think you're dead right here, Mr. Miller. So, a man charged with threatening to kill P on the 24th of June 2014. A man, oopsie, just get rid of that act. A Mount Eden man has pleaded not guilty to allegedly threatening to kill the Prime Minister. Charged with threatening to kill the Prime Minister with a firearm on Wellington, May 22nd.
Yeah.
Oh, isn't that extraordinary?
I know, but that's what everyone believes.
No, okay. Yeah, that's right there.
You know, even mental health believed it when I said to them, look, it didn't happen. They said to me, look,
no, it didn't happen. No, that's what. No, you were charged with it. You were convicted of misuse of a telephone in relation to the John Key incident. Yeah, I'll check that out. That's right. Oh, okay, right.
And that stopped access with my daughter.
Anything else stopped access with your daughter though, Mr. Miller? Anything else going on? Any breaches of protection orders or anything?
I had all those, but I had supervised access.
Yeah.
And I'd had supervised access for like 18 months.
Yes.
And I was getting to the stage where I would have worked away from supervised access to having my daughter like I used to have her for the weekends. And it just killed her.
That was back in 2014. So she's 22 now. Are you in contact with her now?
No.
What's happened?
Well, my ex-wife doesn't believe. She believes what was in the Herald.
Yeah, but your daughter's a bit old now for the family court, isn't she?
She's got Down syndrome.
Sure.
So, and she can't communicate very well.
Oh, I see.
She's got very limited communication. And she wouldn't be able to understand what's going on, and my ex-wife won't help her to see me at all.
Okay.
She's got a protection order. She doesn't want to have anything to do with me in any way, shape or form. Which is a bit wrong because she's the mother of my child, but I can't change what she thinks.
Yes. Okay. So you're not likely to have any further contact with your daughter then?
Well, I started to have contact with her last year. That my other daughter, which I met last year,
Oh, sorry, who's your other daughter?
Natasha.
Natasha,
Yeah, she's 34. I only met her last Christmas,
right.
and I met my son last Christmas. I've never met them since they were born.
You've just caught up with them now.
Yeah.
And do they know JC?
Yeah.
So was she going to help you have contact with JC?
Yeah, she did.
She did. Yeah.
And then all this online attacking started up again after I'd made contact. And Jean, I told Tasha to tell Jean that there was a cyber threat on my Facebook because I'd actually gotten the threat. And it was while I was talking to JC.
So this was last year, right?
Yeah.
And you sent some, I remember you sent some emails that made it very hard to make, when I read them, for me to understand who was being threatened by who.
I was being threatened by Jamie Campbell.
Jamie Campbell is?
This guy who's on bail for splitting my face open.
Yes, you did you got assaulted, did you?
Yeah.
Okay. Look,
and he's on bail for that.
Are you aware, Dean, that those emails that you write are very difficult to understand?
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah. In fact, that they're almost impossible to understand, to be honest.
Yeah. So, so you probably get the wrong end of the stick.
It's very easy to get the wrong end of the stick with them. And, you know, they're full of...
Well, okay, well, we can come to some sort of agreement then, you know, I mean, that's how, most people do it. Well, you don't do this and we'll try and find some other way to resolve it, you know. But you guys don't seem to operate like that.
Well, the bottom line is that I don't think that your computer's being hacked, and I don't think the SIS are involved. I do think that you're mentally ill, you know. That's the problem for you, because we just see those things so differently.
Well, I don't know, ask Alex about my behaviour and what's going on online, and there is something going on online. And I don't
There's just no way the SIS would
Well, I don't give a shit whether it's the SIS, somebody's doing it.
But you do care that it's the SIS, because you've said
I care that the SIS have done nothing about it.
They're not going to do anything about it.
Well, there is something going on.
And the problem is that sometimes clearly, I know that you get very distressed and very angry about this. And I would worry if you weren't in treatment, where that would end for you, to be honest.
It wouldn't end anywhere, or it wasn't ending anywhere for the 6 years prior to that was sort of going on up until 2014, and then it sort of disappeared a little bit up until I moved to Mount Roskill. And other than that period last year in June to September.
Yeah, but
and again, you guys had me on a high dose throughout that period.
Not me personally, Mr. Miller.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Yeah. And there's no benefit to it. And I am being hacked no matter what you say. I mean, there's no way my computer can just close pages by itself, eh?
Well, there is, because computers do shit like that all the time. If that happened to me, I wouldn't think I'm being hacked. I'd think that my computer's malfunctioning.
Well, normally one would reload and it doesn't make any difference, you know. Within a day, I've got the same problem back again.
Well, surely a much more likely explanation is there's a software problem that you've got rather than you being hacked.
Well, my son's pretty much a software genius. I mean, and he's got a degree in computer science. And he agreed that there was something going on.
Well, it's easy to say that in this room, Mr. Miller, but, you know...
No, it's not easy to say this in this room. It's a well-known fact. I mean, Marcus is well-known throughout the industry. He's my son, and I believe what he said. He came over and had a look at what was going on YouTube and that. Because what was, last year I'd open up my channel, half my stuff and content would disappear. And then I'd open it back up and it would reappear. And if I opened it up, logged out of my account, everything would appear to be normal.
Why would someone be trying to force you to kill the Prime Minister,
I don't think, I just said that that's what I surmise that
No,
they're trying
you
to
were pretty
engineer.
clear that you thought that was happening.
Well, I'm pretty clear that I don't feel that way, and that's not what's going on. But I can see how I've concluded that from what's going on, and that I think that you guys are being quite trying to make something out of something that isn't, and that really the only problem going on is what is happening online, and it's still taking place. And I don't have any problems with anyone in any other areas of my life at all with my behaviour or carry on. Okay?
But you've been trespassed from a bunch of places, haven't you?
Well, regardless of that, I haven't had any conflict with anyone for about 10 years. I mean, other than the John Keys thing.
A couple of electorate offices,
Bullshit.
some medical centres you've been
Not
trespassed.
in the last 10 years.
What were they all about, though?
Not in the last 10 years. So what the fuck are you talking about?
What are all those, why did you get trespassed from all those places?
Because I was angry and yeah. And I went to Man Alive and chilled out and learned to handle myself in the community, and I do so pretty well these days, other than people like you know, who try and make a problem out of something.
I'm not making a problem out of something.
You are.
We're all here to try and help you.
You're not here to help me. You're fucking ignorance. You're actually, you know, you're the sort of thing that would probably end my life, if anything. You're giving me a drug, which is making me have migraines more frequently get. I'm in pain and suffering, and you're doing nothing other than giving me a drug which puts me on my ass and makes the pain worse.
The worry for me would be that if you weren't on medication, Mr. Miller, things would be worse for you. And
I don't think so at all. Alex, how was I, you know, the last 2 weeks before they did this injection and that? I mean, because I talked to you a lot about how different I was feeling and that, eh?
Yes.
Yeah.
But you're also very angry at that time, weren't you?
No, I wasn't very. Look, I might have been angry when I got online,
yeah.
But when I go offline, I'm instantly not angry.
Which is a good point, because of course I only know about your own online activity. That's all we see.
Yeah, and you just judge me completely on that online activity. I can say a lot of people have online activity which is far different than the life that they lead.
Sure, but not everyone's currently emailing, posting online, saying some very angry things, and indeed making threats as well when you do that.
Well, I haven't made any threats recently.
Well, you posted one, you said you're going to kill Rebecca, you'd like to kill Rebecca Kitteridge as a threat. You called the Prime Minister, written it down. I was looking at it.
Well, that's the way it makes you feel when you're being ignored, but there's a difference between feeling that way and saying that and doing that. There's a vast difference.
You called the Prime Minister murdering slut Ardern, murdering bitch slut, cunt need to die. I mean, it's pretty angry, threatening stuff, isn't it? Satan cunt. Yeah. So, I mean, I can see why people get concerned about you, Mr. Miller.
Well, they might feel that way, but they don't need to be concerned because I'm not the sort of person that would go and do anything like that. And that is the truth, you know. And that is, you know, I can only say, why doesn't somebody take a look at my behaviour offline and how I act and conduct myself? Because I'm a very responsible person. I don't tolerate any violence of any kind. Okay? And that's why I find it so insulting and degrading to be told that I have a mental illness when there is something going on. I'm not delusional.
Well, I think you are, Mr. Miller.
Well, you go and have a look at those YouTube videos again because you might change your mind.
Oh, I have looked at them.
Well, I look at the ones that I've deleted.
Yes.
Go and look at what I put up over the weekend.
Yep.
And you might change your opinion.
And I may not.
Well, I think you probably will. And the registry doesn't really prove anything other than that there seems to be some sort of involvement between the registry and the rest of Windows and the mouse attacking. And I don't know how, But that's what I notice in the disc activity. And I can only go on the disc activity to look at what's influencing the mouse's activity and driver. I thought somebody had changed the driver, so I tried to replace the driver, I've replaced the mouse, I've replaced the batteries, I've done all the basic things that you do, I'm not stupid.
Sure.
I've gone through a process of elimination. And
I still come back to why do you think the SIS are involved?
well, I think they're involved from the perspective of they're doing nothing about it, and they certainly have the tools and the resources. Listen, and they've got the tools and the resources to address it and sort it out, but they're doing everything but.
They're never going to address it. That's not their business. I mean, if your computer was hacked by, say, a slave bot or something, that's not business of the SIS.
Well, I don't believe it's a slave bot. I believe it's.
No, you think it's the SIS? You've made that clear.
I actually think it's a group of people who I've already pointed out who it is, but I don't want to do anything to them, but I'd like it stopped.
Who do you think people are, Mr. Miller?
I think it's probably my ex-wife's family.
Right, they're hacking your computer.
Well, that's who I actually think it is.
Okay, interesting. All right, well, look, I think we've been back and forth over most things we need to do. So thank you very much for coming in to see me anyway. It's nice to meet you.
Well, I hope you respect and appreciate that I'm not a threat to anyone. And drugging me and saying I'm delusional is quite insulting and degrading and belittling to me, because I know there is something going on. And, if that was the case and it's such a big issue, why can't one of you come around and see it taking place at my house and there'd be no dispute about it? Because if it doesn't take place, then it isn't happening, is it?
I don't think there's any dispute. I think you're mentally ill, Mr.
So that's your answer to that offer?
That's my answer. No, I'm not going to come around.
I'm saying someone like Oz could come around and see that that's going on. And it was going on last year in exactly the same manner. Okay? I'm not lying to you, I'm telling you the truth.
I know it's what you firmly believe, Mr. Miller.
It's not what I firmly believe, that is the truth.
Like I said, it's what you firmly believe.
Wouldn't you support that, Alan?
I think we'll end it there. Thanks very much for talking with me anyway.
Sorry?
Wouldn't you support it with, that there has been some online attacking going on?
Look, the stuff you posted online didn't look like online attacking at all. But look, I think we'll end it there because we will not agree on that. I understand that. But I nevertheless am grateful for you making time to come in and see me.
Yeah, and the medication doesn't do anything for me other than fuck me up. It makes me feel fucking disgusting.
I know that.
And being sick, I mean, I'm more worried about being sick at the moment and being in pain than you guys or anybody else. And and I just want to try and get through that and overcome it. And there's no easy answer. I can't go. I would refuse to go for surgery for my bowel.
Yes.
And I'd just rather go let it take its natural course, because I don't want to beg. That's my right.
This is for your Crohn's.
Yeah. I know my next options, and it's not good pain. I've had it for 8 weeks, and the migraines and that. I've had 3 migraines in a day for fucking years, since I was on a high dose last time, and it seemed to make the migraines more frequent. My face starts to, when I get tired, get a bit droopy. There's all sorts of, I drool really badly when I'm sitting down watching TV or something. And I sit there with my mouth open, on the injection. It's just so degrading, and there's no benefit.
Well, I think there is benefit from medication. And the
look,
other your team did.
Everyone agreed to stopping it, and then you guys suddenly took this U-turn when nothing really has changed, other than I'm willing to agree to back off on my complaint if you guys are willing to back off on your treatment, and you'll see a behavioural change.
I I can't make those kind of arrangements with you, Mr. Miller. Your treatment is not up to me.
Well, that's what I'm saying anyway, you know. And I find it offensive and disturbing. Your association even point in meeting you when I haven't got a forensic mental health problem. I'm actually a very healthy, stable person who's been subjected to what I call torture,
Yes.
because it's a repetitive online act that's repeatedly happening.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep. Look, thank you for that anyway.